Tonight, Tom Marr sitting in for Mark Levin. I'm going to call him a fake, a phony, and a fraud. Get the fork out, put it in him, he's done. How much longer is it going to take the people of the state of New Jersey to catch up to the disgraceful individual who tries to pretend he's a conservative and is currently passing for governor, who supped last night as the only Republican with the chief butcher of Beijing? Not a dictator, a butcher. Shame on Chris Christie, and that's just scratching the surface. But I just don't see anybody who could carry the Republican conservative banner at this particular time. But I was thinking maybe at first Chris Christie. I was excited about the guy. And I liked it when he told off the unions, the public employee unions that are absolutely ruining our country along with the president. He sold out to them, too. But then certain things started to crop up that disappointed me terribly about Chris Christie. I thought it was horrible to criticize him about his size. I don't think that was, I think America likes a big guy. But then I find out he's pro-illegal alien. Yeah, doesn't mind. Yeah, would probably vote for amnesty of one sort or another. Then he endorsed the worst Republican in the history of the House of Representatives when it came to Republican principles. His name was Mike Castle, or as I called him, Make a Deal, Mike Castle. RINO, the word RINO, Republican in name only, applies to Mike Castle more than anybody. He was running against a fine conservative, Christine O'Donnell, and, Chris Christie is endorsing Mike Castle. That was very disappointing. Then to learn that he was in favor of cap and trade. Oh, my goodness. We have 27 states. 26 have joined the state of Florida, and the state of Virginia is going it alone, suing for Obamacare. New Jersey is run by a Republican, and he could sue, but is he? No, he's not. He's not suing. The Ground Zero Mosque, he doesn't care about it. Last night when principled people like John Boehner, staying away from the unbelievable state dinner given for the chief, number one, butcher of Beijing, President Hu, there was a Republican who showed up and called it a great night for America. Chris Christie supped with the butcher of Beijing. Doesn't mind the Ground Zero Mosque, but it is his bizarre, and I'm going to spend a little time on this right now, and I would hope if there are any of the governor's supporters or spokespeople who can tell me that I'm wrong, that they'll call and tell me that I'm wrong, that he didn't do what I'm going to tell you that he did and has done. This will be posted later on tonight. It's much more in-depth than I'm doing now, but I've culled it from my friend Stephen Emerson at the Investigative Project. He is one of the finest terror investigators in the country, and I have been working with him for years. He has been my guest often. But maybe Christie would go in and tell the people of the Garden State why he put Sohail Mohammed on the bench to be a judge in the state of New Jersey, again showing that he has a tin ear when it comes to radical Islam. I'm sorry to say that, but the governor does. You've got some explaining to do, Governor. Not only did he appoint a longtime mouthpiece for radical Islamist terrorists to be a judge, but then the big guy has turned a blind eye, listeners, unfortunately, to the activities of one of Muhammad's clients. He has turned a blind eye to him. I'm sure you've read all about this in the New York Times, haven't you, or the Bergen Record, or other papers? Radical Imam Muhammad Kantani, or it's Q-A-T-A-N, Kantanani. I'll just call him the Imam from now on, the Imam of Muhammad, as head of one of New Jersey's largest mosques. He has a history of Hamas support. He was related by marriage to a leading Hamas operative on the West Bank. This fall, this radical imam, who is apparently admired by Christie, is going to be returning to New Jersey's immigration court, where the Department of Homeland Security is fighting to have the right thing done. They want him out of this country. Amen to that. In his initial application for a green card, filed in 1999, government lawyers say that the Imam Mohammed, failed to disclose a conviction. What was the conviction for? Well, the conviction was for being a member of Hamas, a bloodthirsty terrorist organization, and providing support for a terrorist group. Would you tell us about that, Governor Christie? And would you tell us how odd it is, Governor Christie, that you were then a Republican U.S. attorney for New Jersey, and you decided against and sided against our own Department of Homeland Security and for this radical imam. And you made sure that a top lieutenant, your assistant U.S. attorney, Charles McKenna, testified as a character witness at Imam Mohammed's first immigration trial. A character witness, no less. Can you explain that, Governor Christie, please? You might want to do it at the next synagogue you show up at, looking for votes. That's right. He's done it all. A character witness. Can you imagine that? And publicly embracing the imam at a Ramadan breakfast at his mosque. Way to go, Chris. What's that all about? He later appointed McKenna, by the way, as New Jersey's head of Homeland Security. As general counsel to the American Muslim Union, the AMU, another radical outfit, Mohammed often represented clients subject to government allegations concerning terrorists. The American Muslim Union often is highly critical of our counterterrorism efforts. In an online newsletter, it even included a claim, get this, that you guessed it, folks, you know who was really responsible for 9/11? Zionist commandos orchestrated the 9/11 attacks. And shows support for a rabbi from the extremist Jewish organization, Nutria, I guess that's the way you pronounce it, or Neturia Karta, which denies the right of Israel to exist and supports dismantling of the state. The American Muslim Union has criticized some of the response to the September 11th attacks, especially the Patriot Act. Now, as general counsel, Mohammed bucked several high-profile terror support prosecutions. After authorities shut down the Holy Land Foundation near Dallas for alleged Hamas support in 2001, he told the Record of Bergen County, New Jersey, that the government was unjustly singling out Muslim organizations. Oh, they were? And in addition, this judge, just explain. Somebody from these news organizations and television stations in the New York area ought to be doing an in-depth interview with you, Governor. I'd love for you to call in tonight if you're anywhere in the area, or some of your supporters are panicking that too many people are finding out about this. But it will be posted about an hour after the show tonight at marklevinshow.com. It is a great piece by Steve Emerson. And I'm just getting a few things from it. By the way, Mohammed also defended the Palestinian Islamic Jihad, their operative, Sami al-Arian, following the 2003 indictment, which alleged that he was the North American leader of the Palestinian Islamic Jihad. He was a longtime professor at the University of South Florida, and he pleaded guilty to conspiring to provide goods and services for the Palestinian Islamic Jihad, a terrorist organization. The judge in the case clearly indicated the evidence was there, that he was active in this terrorist organization. In fact, when he did this long report, Steve Emerson, who does such a good job at the investigative project, He said Christie's support for Islamists such as this Kentani fellow and Judge Muhammad betrays either naivete or calculation. Which is it, Chris? And either one is troubling. So, go ahead, Chris Christie. Maybe somebody will ask you, what is it that you liked about the butcher of Beijing you met last night? Or why you're not opposed to the Ground Zero Mosque as most decent Americans are. And why aren't you suing over health care? Don't tell me because you have a Democrat Attorney General. I'm not sure which party it is, Democrat or Republican, but I don't want to hear that. You could hire a law firm to get it done, and you could join the state of Florida, because this Obamacare is going to cost the taxpayers of New Jersey billions of dollars and give them inferior health care and rationing, and it's going to cut your senior citizens on Medicare. Their insurance alone is being cut by $1.5 trillion. Take them to court. Why don't you, Chris? Why don't you? And why don't you explain what it is that you liked about Make a Deal Mike Castle? And do you think illegal aliens ought to be thrown out of the country? Speak right up, Chris. Speak right up. Well, let us go stay in the great state of New Jersey and go to Tony. Hi, Tony. How are you?
Okay, Tom. Nice talking to you, and you are so right about Mr. Christie. You know, when he first came out with that, that non-committal comment about the mosque, and he said that people were using it as a political football. Well, I had voted for him, so I called his office, and the gentleman I spoke to, I said, I was very blunt. I said, I think Governor Christie is being gutless here. He's the governor of a state which had many victims at the World Trade Center, and, what he's doing is just indefensible. Well, he tried to defend him, and he couldn't.
Well, there is no defense.
No, there isn't.
No,
but here's the interesting part. He says to me, people have a short memory. So, a few months from now, nobody will be talking about this. He says, well, yes, what if they don't have a short memory? He says, well, maybe he'll have to rethink his position. So he wasn't dealing with a political football, but I think he's a political slimeball.
Well, now let me ask you this. How about all the other I'd love to give him a little cross-examination, and I'm not a lawyer, but I can do it pretty well, on the appointment of this guy Mohammed to the bench.
Unbelievable. You explained everything that was in my mind. When I smelled that rat, I didn't know all this information. In fact,
oh, no.
To be honest with you, I didn't learn it until tonight.
No, and where is it? I mean, I wonder if he's going to be explaining it the next time he shows up at a shul. This is unbelievable. The man is unbelievable. Any Republican who supports Mike Castle is not at all a conservative. And it was a great disappointment to me because I looked to this guy for leadership. I thought maybe he was the answer. But no, this guy scares me. He's got an awful lot of explaining to do. He is masquerading as a conservative. He's nothing more than a lib. He is a RINO. Okay?
Okay, Tom. Nice talking to you.
All right, Tony. Nice talking with you. Thanks for the call. We appreciate it. Let's see how much time we have here to take another call. Quickly, let's go to Sue listening in over the great WMAL. Sue,
hey,
how
Tom,
are you?
It's Sue from the barrio.
Hey, Sue from Montgomery County, now known as Montezuma County, the county of my birth.
Yes, I'm just driving home from Annapolis, and I was delighted. Great show tonight. I listen to you every morning. I listen to Levin every evening. And I just wanted to say you are spot on about Chris Christie, and it is so refreshing to hear someone tell the truth about this guy, because I'm so sick of hearing, because he yelled at a couple of school teachers, he's like the second coming of the conservative movement.
No, he's not. He's far from it. Let's take a listen and see what Pete has to say. Hi, Pete. How are you?
Hey, how you doing? Hey, I'm a first-time listener, and you're awesome. I agree with everything you say.
Well, number one, you're right. I am awesome. No, I'm just kidding. But I've been doing this for a while.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, Chris Christie, you're dead on about him. He's a total disappointment. He just made enemies with thousands and thousands of New Jersey firemen and cops, most of them who supported him.
Well, I was really looking when I would first hear him, and I'd say maybe he's the answer, because otherwise there's not an answer out there for me yet. But now he's totally selling conservative principles down the river, and it turns out that he is a RINO. He's a Mike Castle RINO.
Yeah, he's an embarrassment.